I should have known something was wrong when the storm hit. But hindsight's always 20/20, isn't it? My name's Alex. I'm a 21-year-old junior at Midwest State University, and until last week, my biggest worry was passing my organic chemistry midterm. Now I'm not sure I'll ever sleep soundly again. It was the Monday of spring break. My roommate Jake had left for Cancun with his girlfriend the day before, leaving me with an empty house and zero plans. I didn't mind. After a brutal midterm season, a week of doing absolutely nothing sounded like heaven. But Mother Nature had other ideas. The storm rolled in Sunday night, a howling beast that shook the windows and made the old house groan like it was in pain. By Monday morning, the local news was calling it the worst spring storm in decades. Streets were flooding, trees were coming down, and we were all advised to stay indoors. So there I was, trapped in the house, listening to the wind shriek outside like a banshee with a grudge. I tried to distract myself with video games, but every crash of thunder made me jump. It was going to be a long day. As night fell, the storm only intensified. The lights flickered ominously, and I found myself glancing nervously at the windows, half expecting to see a face peering in. I shook off the thought. Too many horror movies, clearly. I was deep into a game of Elden Ring when the doorbell rang. The sound cut through the howling wind like a knife, making me nearly jump out of my skin. I paused the game, heart pounding. Who the hell would be out in this weather? Cautiously, I approached the front door. Through the peephole, I saw nothing. Just sheets of rain and the violently swaying trees of our front yard. Against my better judgment, I opened the door. The wind hit me like a physical force, driving icy rain into my face. I squinted against the deluge, but there was no one there. I slammed the door shut, breathing hard. Must have been the wind, I told myself. These old doorbells can be finicky. But as I turned back towards the living room, a chill ran down my spine that had nothing to do with my wet clothes, because there on the hardwood floor was a single, muddy footprint. I froze, staring at it. It was too big to be mine, and it was facing towards the interior of the house, as if someone had just stepped inside. "Hello?" I called out, hating how my voice shook. "Is someone there?" Only the howling of the wind answered me. I was about to convince myself I was seeing things when a tremendous crash came from the backyard. I ran to the kitchen window, peering out into the storm-tossed darkness. Our patio furniture was strewn across the yard, tossed about like toys in a tantrum. "Shit," I muttered. Jake would kill me if that expensive outdoor set got ruined. Cursing my luck, I pulled on my rain jacket and boots. The smart thing would have been to leave it until morning, but I wasn't thinking clearly. I just wanted to secure the furniture and go back to my game, to pretend everything was normal. I stepped out into the maelstrom, immediately drenched despite my jacket. The wind was so strong it nearly knocked me off my feet. Squinting against the rain, I started gathering up chairs and tables, stacking them against the house. That's when I saw it. A figure, standing at the edge of our property where our yard met the woods, just watching me. I froze. A chair clutched in my hands like a shield. The figure didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, a dark silhouette against the thrashing trees. Terror gripped me. I dropped the chair and ran for the house, slipping on the wet grass in my haste. I slammed the door behind me, fumbling with the lock. When I looked back out, the figure was gone. I spent the next hour huddled on the couch, lights on, jumping at every sound. But as the adrenaline wore off, exhaustion set in. Despite my fear, I found myself drifting off. I woke with a start some time later. The storm was still raging, But something else had roused me. A sound, like footsteps. I sat up, and that's when I felt it. Water. My feet were in a puddle of water. Fully awake now, I looked down. There was water everywhere, pooling on the floor. And in that water, footprints, muddy footprints, leading from the back door, through the living room, up the stairs. My heart nearly stopped. Someone was in the house. I scrambled for my phone, fingers shaking as I dialed 911. I whispered my situation to the dispatcher, terrified that whoever or whatever was upstairs would hear me. It felt like an eternity before I heard sirens outside. When the police finally entered, I was a wreck, babbling about footprints and figures in the storm. They searched the house thoroughly but found nothing. No intruder. No sign of forced entry. Even the footprints were gone. The water evaporated as if it had never been there. "Look, son," one of the officers said kindly, "storms like this, they play tricks on the mind. You're alone, you're scared. It's natural to imagine things." But I knew what I'd seen, what I'd felt. As they were leaving, one of the younger cops pulled me aside. "You said your roommate's out of town." When I nodded, he frowned. "It's probably nothing, but we've had a few cases lately. People breaking into homes but not taking anything. Just watching the occupants sleep. Creepy stuff." A chill ran through me. "You think that's what happened here?" He shrugged. "Maybe. But here's the thing, in every case, the intruders seemed to be looking for someone specific, someone who wasn't home." I thought about the figure in the yard, about the footsteps leading upstairs, where Jake's room was. "You be careful," the cop said, "and maybe call your roommate. Make sure he's okay." After they left, I tried Jake's cell. It went straight to voicemail. I told myself it was just bad reception in Cancun. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. The storm raged on, and with it, my fear grew. Because now I knew whatever had come into our house that night, it hadn't been after me. It had been looking for Jake. On the third night, as I sat huddled in the living room, lights blazing and a kitchen knife clutched in my hand, I heard it. Over the howling of the wind, over the lashing of the rain, a key in the lock. The door swung open. "Alex." Jake's voice. But wrong. Flat. "Empty. Why are you still awake? You should be sleeping." He stepped into the light, and I saw his face. It was Jake, but not Jake. His eyes were black, pupil-less voids, and his smile, God, that smile. Too wide. Too many teeth. "It's okay," not Jake said, his grin stretching impossibly wider. "You can sleep now. I'm home." As the thing wearing my roommate's face advanced, I realized with horror that the storm wasn't just outside anymore. It was in here with me, in this thing's eyes, in its hungry smile. And as its cold, wet hands reached for me, I knew that the real Jake had never made it to Cancun. That whatever this was, it had been wearing his skin for days, biding its time, waiting for the perfect storm to make its move. I should have known something was wrong when the storm hit. But it's too late now. The uninvited guest is here, and it's never leaving.